Oh, Sopranos, man! You did you see the trailer for the Sopranos sequel?
6 times, my friend. Saints of New York. I watched that. I've watched that thing back and forth, man.
Okay,
Sopranos is my favorite show of all time. I literally started it when we got on our second lockdown. I'm on season 6, episode 10
that
of
is
Sopranos. So I'm almost done it.
that is cool because I have never seen an episode of The Sopranos. So
Which is,
I need you to tell
listen,
me
man.
what I'm missing about this. What's all going on? As I'm watching it, there's two things that stand out, and I'm gonna just say. Firstly, is this guy does look like James Gandolfini is the guy's name,
Yeah,
right?
his son.
And it turns out after Googling it that it's his son in his first acting debut. The second thing that I'm watching, and I know it's a prequel to The Sopranos, is there's all these people that show up on the screen and they're significant. But as someone who's never seen The Sopranos, I'm like, who is this guy? Why is that significant? I don't really.
It's amazing. So it's actually an amazing way they're doing it. I was hoping they were going to bring it into a series for HBO with David Chase doing it, but it seems like they're doing one movie. They may do a second movie. And it kind of goes.
I thought it was a series, but I could be wrong.
No, it's a movie. It'll be in theaters. So my first thing was, wow, it's finally happening.
Okay.
So I've been following it since the beginning, and they've been showing I've been on Facebook and their Instagrams and Twitters and stuff like that, and enjoying watching them make the movie. And they're using, as they use characters' names, you see characters from The Sopranos that is on there that are in the trailer. So you're starting to see a tough guy, Paulie Walnuts. He's on there, and you see him the guy kind of gives the Paulie. And then real Soprano fans lose their mind when they're like, he grew up with a guy named Dickie Moltisanti. We know how Dickie
who is Dickie Monsanto? Who's this guy?
So basically who he is in the regular Sopranos. Tony's one of Tony's best friends is his little cousin Christopher. And throughout the whole show, for the first couple of the seasons in The Sopranos, he talks about Christopher being a lot younger than Tony and says, I grew up with your dad. Your dad's the reason I'm here. Mm-hmm. And I think it's in season 3, Tony tells Chris, Dickie's son, your dad died because this cop shot him. Go kill this cop. So Chris's first kill was the cop. So when they came out and said Dickie Moltisanti, I said,
you're going to see how he dies by the cop, or you're going to see maybe, I haven't seen the show, but maybe you'll see that Tony made that up to get him to kill that guy. Or maybe you're going to see...
No. If you haven't seen that show and you haven't read that on the internet, that's what everybody's saying. Yeah. So what they're saying is that they could set this up so that you would go back and rewatch the seasons.
Yeah. You get to see all the stuff that he lied to the characters about
exactly, and you go,
that's fucking brilliant.
And you go, holy fuck, that's crazy. So they're saying does Tony kill Dickie Moltisanti, or in the trailer to stay away from Anthony because we don't want him in this line of work. And he goes, yeah, we're just hanging out. And then all of a sudden now, do they take care of him? Does the mob take care of their own to save Tony? And then Tony starts to say stuff. So all the characters, all the old characters that are in the regular Sopranos, their child versions are in the trailer.
Oh, that's cool. So let me ask, how did they do that? Did they do de-aging, or did they just find similar looking actors?
Similar looking actors. That's it.
Okay, that's
cool.
They
didn't do that anti-aging stuff they did on The Irishman.
That's good. I think that's actually the better way to do it, because after seeing Mark Hamill de-aged, it's probably the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm still having nightmares about it. So I don't want to get sidetracked on that. So I will say I've never seen The Sopranos, but I'm a huge fan of rewatchability. I love prequels. I love even movies where you get to the end and there's a plot twist that changes the context of everything you saw before it. So I'm excited about this. Maybe I'll actually go out and start watching The Sopranos.
So here's the thing, and let me explain to you on how The Sopranos always gets me. And there's a couple of shows. So The Sopranos, when you're a kid, I think it came out when we were kids. I think 99, I believe it came out.
I think it was in the 2000s.
Was it in the 2000s? I know it ended in the 2000s, but I thought it was. Anyways, whenever it came out, I didn't understand some of the jokes.
Okay.
Like you just don't know who that person is. They make a comment, and you're like, I don't understand that. But okay, you start laughing, you giggle away, and you move on. And then all of a sudden it's like, you go back and you're like, holy fuck, it's hilarious.
Okay. Can you give an example? Because you've lost me here.
Okay,
I have no idea
the one joke's like, yeah, I don't want to play for the Mets. Or one joke was like, yeah, and I want to fuck Angie Dickinson. And I'm Andrew Dickens, and I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me. Even to you, you're like, that doesn't make sense. But when you realize the character's in his 70s, and then you Google her, or you find out who she is, and she was like this smoking hot Playboy model, and you're like, oh fuck, okay, that's funny. And then you start picking up on things in The Sopranos that they talk about. So the rewatchability is through the roof.
Cool. Yeah, that's one of the things that I like. So because of the rewatchability, so this is an interesting situation where because of the rewatchability, I see this, you've convinced me that I should maybe go watch The Sopranos. So this is like the best advertisement for The Sopranos is to make a prequel for it. In order for me to get the prequel, I got to watch the rest of The Sopranos.
And another cool thing is that they have now they're doing watching Sopranos, I believe it is, with two of the characters have a podcast.
Oh.
And they go every episode. So then they talk about the episode, they talk about where they went with it, and then they talk like a lot of behind the scenes stuff for each episode. So like you're like, what the fuck were they thinking on this one? And then you can go, oh shit, that's what they were thinking. And they kind of go through like David Chase, the director, on what his mindset was. And it's really good. And the show aged very well. Like I think that you can go back. They didn't use any stupid special effects. You know what I mean? Like you would go back and watch something, you're like, oh, that's horrible. It's all natural. The only thing like you got to get used to is like the cell phones.
No cell phones.
Well, no, there are.
Oh,
but they're all flip phones. There's no smartphones or anything like that.
Okay.
And some of the stuff that'll just go, you know what? That makes sense for the time. And even now they still have the same issues.
So as someone who watched it when it first came out, and as someone who's rewatched it several times and is rewatching it now, you're saying it holds up, that there's no sort of time you had to be there to understand that. It's all stuff
it'll all blend in. The only thing is if you're going to start watching The Sopranos, you got to understand that coming later on in the seasons, James Gandolfini was turning down movie roles for The Sopranos because it was taking up all of his time.
Yeah.
He basically told HBO, I need more money because I'm like, this is what I'm losing on movies. I need you guys to pay me more. HBO said no. Gandolfini said, I'm not working then. So then they were on hold for a while, for a couple of seasons. So you'll go from seasons where the Soprano kids are, AJ's a little chubbier, and then all of a sudden he loses a lot of weight.
Okay.
And you're like, holy shit. And then Meadow gets older, and you're like, okay, she's super attractive. And then you're like, okay, so what's going on? You're like, yeah. So then it just kind of goes on, and you're like, okay. And then all of a sudden when you watch it and you realize that, it's amazing. It's just a whole
You're saying there's some inadvertent continuity issues is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's a great show. I honestly think if you're going to watch it, you're going to really enjoy it.